and record.
And remember to download attendance afterwards. Great evening, everyone, and welcome to our Ridgeway IB Middle Family Data Night. We have some awesome information we're going to share with you this evening that details our current data, where we are right now, what we're doing to ensure we progress our students forward as a result, as well as testing info. As we know that at this school year, all students will be taking the TCAP, and they will be in the building to take the TCAP. So we're going to share some information with you in regards to that to ensure you understand that safety protocols will be in place, just as in place right now with our current in-house students. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our presentation, and we will have opportunities. The chat is open for questions, and we're going to answer those questions at the end of the presentation. So we will begin our meeting now. Academic goals. We know at the end of each year, we have to reach an academic goal for our Ridgeway IB Middle. Our goals for all of our content areas, which also includes attendance, which also includes our subgroups as well. But as we move into this testing season, while we're in the pandemic, our main AMO goal will be student participation. And we're going to discuss that towards the end of the presentation. It is very important, it's going to be critical that we get all of our students in to test for this TCAP season. And we're going to discuss what that is going to look like to ensure safety for all of our students. Okay, so we will continue with our presentation. Next up, we will have our PLC coach, Mrs. Armstrong.
Good evening, parents, and welcome again to our Data Family Night. I am Mrs. Armstrong. You probably have heard me in those robocalls as well as those messages that I've been sending out to the students. And I'm just going to share a little information with you regarding our data for school improvement. Our school improvement data targets include chronically absent students, discipline, English learners, staffing characteristics, educator evaluation, retention and climate, success rate school-wide. Now, the presenters who are coming up after I finish will give you more information in regards to our success rate school-wide and so forth. We are looking at all of these data targets to determine where we will end up at the end of the school year, and we continually to solicit your support in helping us to raise our accountability here at Ridgeway IB Middle School. Next, we will have Mrs. Rags Washington.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mrs. Rex Washington. I'm one of two assistant principals at Ridgeway Middle School, and I would like to discuss our ELA department, our English language department. Currently, we are getting ready for TN Ready, and I'm going to review the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade information with you. We will begin with 6th grade. Based on our last benchmarks that the students recently took, their area of refreshment or area of need was our KID3 standard. And this is basically the standard where the students read a story. They have to understand what the climax is, the rising action, the falling action, the characters, and how they're thinking. And of course, believe it or not, this was our area of focus for each grade level. Looking at our data, we had 123 students who were below, which means that they did not grasp the concept at all. We had the 31 that were approaching, they had some idea of what KID3 is, and we had 33 that were on track and 31 that mastered. If you look at the number of sixth graders that we have, that's only 2.5%, and we really want to increase that by at least up to 50% or more. We're going to look at seventh grade next. Our seventh grade, again, the same standard, how to analyze specific elements of a story or drama, interact with and affect each other. Again, it's KID3. There are some of the wording and the standard is a little different because it becomes more complex in seventh grade. We had 161 of our students who fell below the range of understanding what RIKID meant. And this is something that we really, really want to focus on because this is part of the TN Ready. Again, we had 15 students that were on track and 46 students that were already approaching. Unfortunately, at this time, we did not have any students that had mastered this particular standard in seventh grade. And we say that because students' exposure to the questions and work on text so far have met the rigor of the questions on the assessment. However, our students have shown an inability to connect the elements of the story to the outcomes. So this is something that we are consistently working on with our seventh grade students. Now we're going to look at eighth grade. Again, eighth grade, RL, KID3, how to analyze particular lines of dialogue or incidents in a story or drama, propel the action, reveal aspects of the character, or provoke a decision. If you notice, the standards are getting more and more complex. And so looking at our eighth grade students, we had 36% or 112 students that fell below, that did not master this at all. We had 70 students that were approaching, 42 students that were on track, and only 4 students that mastered this concept. Our students who are approaching and are on track are very, very close to mastery, but we want to push that over the edge. We only had 1.3% of our students to master this. And when we're taking our tests with benchmarking and any other online tests, we really want the students to take it seriously and complete the test in a timely fashion. The root cause for 8th grade were students' exposure to the questions and work on the text has been met by the rigor of questions on the assessment. However, again, students' inability to connect dialogue and actions of the characters hindered them from mastering this standard. And excuse me, this is an overview of our iReady for all grades 6 through 8. Our standard of focus is informational text, and it's basically comprehension. We really want our students to begin reading for understanding. And with that, they struggled to understand expository text, persuasive text, fictional text, cause and effect, sequencing, comparing and contrasting, problem and solution, description or definition, and limited exposure to informational text. We would love for our babies to read more and more, and this is why, because as we see, we had 55% of our 6th graders not on track. We had 62 of our 7th graders not on track, and 58 of our 8th graders not on track. We have tutoring, we have different things for the students to help improve their reading and all of these skills, and we would love for them to attend. Our teachers are using anchor charts, we're using reteaching, we're using grade recovery. There are a lot of different things that we're using in order to help our students become successful. So we really want our parents to understand how critical our ELA is to Ridgeway. And now we will have Ms. Dee Dee Robinson.
Good evening, parents. My name is Ms. Robinson, and I am the math content lead here at our Ridgeway IB Middle School. And tonight I am going to present you with the data for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math, beginning with 6th grade. Our 6th graders, recently all of our students took a district benchmark assessment or CFA assessment on Mastery Connect, and 6th graders scored lowest with the standard 6 EEAB 5, which is basically them having to solve inequalities, and they struggle with making sense of what the inequality symbol actually means. They struggle with understanding greater than or less than. And so as you can see, we had 14% of 6th graders who mastered the standard. 40% of them were scored approaching or on the approaching level. We did not have any to score on track, and 46% of our 6th graders were below. And our goal is to have at least 50% in that mastery range. Now, 7th grade. 7th grade's deficit area or challenging area standard was 7 RPA 3, which is talking about proportional relationships, but with proportional relationships, the focus with this standard is with them solving equations involving percentages. And that's talking about taxes, tips, markups, marks downs, commissions, and those types of things. As you can see, we had 23% of our 7th graders to master the standard. None of them were on track, 35% approaching, and 42% below. And now we will go to 8th grade. And 8th graders, this standard, particularly, there are 3 specific ones in this skilled set, which is involving systems of 2 linear equations and them having to solve them. And our 8th graders are really struggling with this standard. We had only 10% to master the standard. No students were on track, 23% approaching, and 67% below. And we're currently reviewing this standard and reteaching this standard right now because of the low percentage of mastery. Our goal, again, is to have at least 50% of the students in the grade to be on the mastery level. Now, with iReady, they took a diagnostic assessment a couple of months ago, and on the iReady diagnostic, we have a significant amount of 8th graders, 49% to be exact, that are 2 or more grade levels below. We have 32% of our students overall, 6th through 8th grade, that are 1 grade level below, and 19% that are on grade level. And so we have a lot of work to do, and we are currently working on those things. All of our students from 6th through 8th grade are having tremendous difficulty with being able to read graphs, solve equations, and compare functions. So I want to say to you parents, to support us in reaching our goals, please encourage your students to attend our standards-based tutoring sessions that we offer. Also, encourage your students to log into iReady, and not just log into iReady, but complete the iReady lessons that we assign. We assign iReady lessons weekly, and just encourage your students to complete them and pass them. Not just complete them to say that they have done them, but complete them and pass the lessons. And that is all for the math data. That's all I can think of. Also, we also have Khan Academy and IXL and Delta math programs that your students can access as well. And now we will have Miss Cleopatra Thomas.
Good evening, parents. I am Cleopatra Thomas, the science team lead here at our Ridgeway Middle School. I will begin with 6th grade science with the standard 6LS 2.2, which deals with life science. And it is that particular standard that works with the interactions of organisms and how they interact as a symbiotic and competitive and predatory types of interactions in the ecosystem. If you would notice here for our student performance data and looking at our data through Mastery Connect, 8.2% of the students only mastered that particular standard. And we chose this standard, however, because it is one of the heavy hitting standards that we have going towards TCAP. 31.3% of them were approaching, and there were, in fact, 44.7% of our students who were below. Again, as you've heard before, we are looking forward to our students raising the bar up so that they can become masters at this particular standard as well as the other standards that we're teaching. They tended to not understand quite as well the symbiotic relationships and that of biodiversity. There were some misconceptions that pertain to animals only, that biodiversity pertained to animals only. So we're just looking forward again to moving them forward, particularly as we look for life sciences for 6th grade. And as we move to 7th grade, you will notice that life science is still one of the heavy hitting standards that we're working with. There are two parts to this particular one that we looked at deeply as standards of focus. And these two dealt with life science in reference to cells and cell membranes and how that work together in maintaining homeostasis. As you notice for the standard 1, we had 8.7% of our students who mastered that particular standard. However, we did have 28.5% of the students who were below and 24.3% of the students who were approaching. For the standard 2, only 3.4% of our students mastered that particular standard piece, as well as 25% of the students who scored below, and 35.4% approaching, and 16.7% of our students who were on track. The students tended to struggle with remembering the structure and function of the cells virtually, and they also struggle with the movement of concentration within the cells. If you would speak with your students, talk with them in reference to the work that's going on in class, and that would also help them in terms of that struggle. The students had some misconceptions in terms of chloroplast, only supplying energy and not other essential types of nutrients, and understanding of various concentrations of movement. And as we look at our 8th graders, now, Earth, Space, and Science, Earth and Space Science is also one of the heavy hitting standards that we have, not only for 8th grade, but also 6th grade and 7th grade as well. However, for the 8th grade, there were two parts to that, 0.2 and 2.2, wherein 1.2 looked at the explanation of gravity and the formation of our sun and the planets, and 2.2 they dealt with evaluating the data collected from seismographs, that of having earthquakes and how the earth moved. If you would notice again at our student performance data for 8th grade, mastered 10.5%. Below, our students were at 23.8%, 29.3% approaching, and 17.6% on track. As we look at the standard 2.2, only 4.3% of our students mastered, with 22.3% below, 37.1% approaching, and 17.6% who were on track. These students, our 8th graders, struggled with understanding how gravity keeps celestial bodies or objects in place once they move outside the atmosphere. There was some misconception. The S waves have to do, again, with earthquakes and looking at that, as well as the P waves and how they travel in terms of the liquid core. Again, we're looking to have our students to attend our tutoring sessions, to participate in the classroom, and to ask questions. We really need for them to ask questions so that we can clear up these misconceptions that they may have. We're wanting them to participate in the classroom so that we can have this dialogue and this interaction going on so that they can become better at learning the concepts that are at hand. Thank you so much, and we look forward to working with you as the year continues on. We will now have Ms. Tracy Logan for the social studies or humanities data analysis.
Good evening. I am Tracy Logan, the team lead for social studies or humanities here at our Ridgeway IB Middle. Social studies overview. Students will score on track or mastery on the 10 Ready assessment with a minimum scores between 25 and 30%. To reach our goal in 6th grade, we're looking for 59 to 71% students to score on track or mastery. In 7th grade, 81 to 95 students will score on track or mastery. And in 8th grade, 46 to 57 students will score on track or mastery. Let's first look at 6th grade data. Our 6th grade data indicates that we are well on our way to reaching our goal with at least 30% of all tested students performing at on track or mastery level on all but 4 of the tested standards so far. And the on track and mastery is indicated by green and blue. For our 7th grade, data indicates that we have a bit more work to do to reach our goal with at least 30% of our students tested performing at on track or mastery level on all but 7 of the standards that had been taught up until the benchmark period. So when we're looking at the standards for social studies, and that's in each grade level, there are an average of about 70 standards per grade level. So they're not repeating like you would see in math, science, or in ELA. Let's look at 8th grade. In 8th grade, our 8th grade data indicates that though only 12 of the standards tested on the Q2 benchmark were on track or mastery, none of the remaining standards in that 25 to 30% range were below. So if you look, we'll have more yellow than we have red. So they're right there at the cusp of approaching. So those are the students or the standards that we are reteaching at this time. So let's look at what we're doing to reach our goals. Corrective instruction. The first thing we do is identify low performing areas from tested items on benchmark and classroom instruction, which is what we saw on the previous slides. This means, we determine misconceptions, provide strategies during reteaching and intervention. This means we move from just looking at the correct answers to looking at the incorrect answers that the student chose. We'll delve deeper into why they chose the answers that they chose, and we will clear up those misconceptions. The next thing we do is use supplemental support such as IXL and USA Test Prep. From there, we take our groups, make small groups, and assign lessons in IXL. It is very, very, very important that when students are assigned lessons in IXL, they complete them. And the way IXL works is they get a tutorial on the standards that we have assigned to them. They get practice questions, and they move forward through that standard according to what questions they get correct or incorrect. So there is a process that supports the reteaching process. So finally, we retest and compare the data to determine the effectiveness of the corrective instruction. So after we have done all that we need to do to go back and reteach, we'll go back and retest to see if it worked. So as you can see, we have a bit of work to do, but we're prepared and we're excited about pushing our students forward. And next up is Ms. Chiquita Hines from our ESL department.
Good evening, parents. This is Ms. Hines, and I am your ESL teacher for Ridgeway Middle School, grades 6 through 8. First, I would like to say thank you so much for allowing the students to come out and participate in taking their WIDA assessment this school year. We actually had 15 out of 16 students to participate. That's over 93%. So that is awesome. And the chart that you see is just showing the data that I showed you in our last family data meeting. And with this many children participating, I'm just looking forward to seeing the results of that assessment. Speaking of assessments, our students took the iReady assessment when they first started this school year, and then they took it again this spring. And I just wanted to share some good news with you that they are showing growth. So the iReady ELA diagnostic showed that 62% of our ESL students, grades 6 through 8, showed tremendous growth. And also, our math diagnostic showed that 56% of our ESL students made growth. So our students are learning and they are growing. And once again, I'm looking forward to seeing even more success as we move forward. So my projections are that we will see growth on our WIDA assessment for 2021, and we will continue to see growth on our iReady assessments. Thank you, parents. And now we will have some information from Ms. Valeria Sewell, our Special Populations Team Lead.
Good afternoon, parents. My name is Valeria Sewell. I am the special education lead here at Ridgeway for 6th through 8th grade and the 8th grade inclusion for reading and math. We're going to talk a little bit about our special population. That's our students with disability. We're going to address 3 areas: our academic data, academic classroom support, and their intervention. All right, and so as it relates to our students here at Ridgeway, looking at this data to the right of the screen, this is just an overview of the students that have taken the iReady from the benchmark from the fall to the diagnostic, I'm sorry, not the benchmark, but the diagnostic from the fall to the winter. In the fall, when we took it, all the 7th and 8th grade were below basic. However, we have seen some growth, and so all 3 areas have not now at the basic level, and this data comes from the data that we got from the teachers that went over their overview from the data with ELA and math. And so we have seen some gains with that. Also, our students need this support with the special education, have the accommodations, because they are performing still significantly below their grade level peers. All right, and so let's look at the level of support. As it relates to the classroom, the district has designed it where it is 2 certified teachers in those classrooms, ELA and math classroom. You have the general ed teacher as well as the special ed teacher. This is designed in order to provide more support for the students, making sure that they receive their accommodations and modifications with reading and math. And also, as it relates to accommodations and modification, those accommodations and modifications will carry over into the 10 ready, where if they are receiving certain reports that supports that are allowable by the state, then they will be able to receive those accommodations and modifications during that testing window, 6th through 8th grade students. Intervention, this is another support that has been embedded from the state and implemented here in our district. We're using what they call the Fast Bridge platform, and this is intervention where our students are performing below the 15th percentile comparably to their grade level peers, and as a result of that, they need more support, and so they're receiving small group explicit instruction as well as computer-based lessons through iReady. With that, some of them are being progress monitored weekly, and some of them being progress bi-weekly, depending on how low their deficit or their deficit area is. And with that, that'll be all. We next have up our illustrious 8th grade counselor, Mrs. Leverson.
Good evening, parents and guardians. I'm Letitia Leverson, the 8th grade counselor and the 7B counselor. I will be discussing the purpose of 4-year plan is to provide opportunity for 8th grade students and parents and guardians to learn about the graduation requirements, early post-secondary opportunities, and elective focus available to students. Explore course options for grades 9 through 12 based on their skills, interests, goals, and post-secondary aspirations. Develop an initial plan of study that will help students transition to high school and prepare for post-secondary options and success. All 8th grade students are required to develop an initial 4-year plan. RMS student expectations is to complete the pre-work activities to help prepare for the 4-year plan process. Those activities include preparing a Strengths Explorer assessment, preparing for a course planning registration survey. During that process, students, after they completed the assessment, it produced their top 3 strengths, which led to their career pathways. Students is allowed to research different colleges in our Navient platform, create and submit 4-year plans via Navient during the windows of March 8 and May 14th. The goal for RMS scholars is March 25th through April 30th. Review plan with parent or guardians and determine if edits are needed. Monitor plan status in Navient to ensure plan is approved by June 11. Of course, the goal for RMS scholars is May 14th. Parent expectations. Attend parent meetings at Ridgeway IB Middle for 8th grade parent night. Meeting was held on April 15th. Monitor student plan completion and status during March 8 and May 14th. The goal for RMS was March 25th and April 30th. Currently, our data we have is 65% completed. We would like that number to be 100% by Friday. So we encourage you parents to assist us with that. Phone calls will go out will be made next week to encourage those students to complete their 4-year plans by Friday. We would like to get this done before the testing window open. So we really encourage our parents to assist us with meeting that goal. Review plans with student and request for edits as needed during designated time frame provided by school. Return signed copy or indicate agreement via school method by June 11th. Those 4-year plans will be emailed to you, and you can email them back to me, sign, or say, I approve this plan. That will be accepted as well. This concludes our 4-year plan section. Now we'll have 6th grade counselor and 7A counselor, Ms. Victoria Williams.
Thank you so much, Ms. Leverson. Good afternoon, parents and guardians. I'm here today to talk about the data of the school, which relates to RTI-2B, which is our response to intervention and behavior. So this is for our students, and it's the expectations, of course, is regarding behavior and attendance. And we know that if our students are not here, they cannot learn. So this year we focus on perfect attendance, and I will be reviewing the data of our school today. First off, I would like to discuss the 3 B's of RMS. Of course, we still have a ton of virtual learners, so we want to ensure that they know we should be respectful, responsible, and wise when we are utilizing our virtual platforms. That means following instructions the first time given, ensuring our devices are charged each night for school, and of course, making good judgment with our technology. Of course, this is posted on our website, so you can review this information there. Here is the current data of the school. We currently have 98% attendance rate, which is very great. We are actually leading in the district currently with our attendance rate with perfect attendance. Our chronic absenteeisms with our students are 3.8%. So parents, please make sure our students are present. Of course, you know, testing is coming up, and it is very, very important that we have full participation. Looking at our 7th 20-day period, it will be closing out on next Tuesday. We are currently at the 97.4 percentile. So we're down 2% from that 6th 20-day period, which was 99. We want to get back up to that 99.1% right before we get ready for that testing. Also, just want to ensure that our 8th grade, 7th, and 6th graders are logging in every day unless there is something that is occurring. And if you are going to be absent, that you submit documentation to the main office. Currently, tomorrow we will be celebrating our RTI-2B perfect attendance students. Those who are in person will get to be a part of a pizza party, which we will be outside, socially distanced and masked up for this event. This is for those students who have been perfect attendance, in attendance from 4th through 6th 20-day period. So each quarter, we try to celebrate our students as well as our virtual learners. So virtual learners will receive a movie day incentive on tomorrow as well. We did not leave them out. We had over 277 students who have had perfect attendance since August 31st. So that is a huge accomplishment. That means they logged in every day or, of course, have been in person. In addition to that, we want to continue that. We have 2 more 20-day periods, and we look forward to celebrating with you all toward the end of the year. Remember that attendance goes hand in hand with academics, so we want to ensure our students are present every day. Thank you so much. Next up, we have our IB coordinator, Ms. Patrice Carter.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Good evening, parents. I just want to share some information with you as it relates to our optional schools application and also our choice transfers here at Ridgeway. And also I want to share this information with you. I shared it with you back in the fall. These are actually the requirements for our optional school entrance requirements. And I've actually been sharing this for the past probably month with our students. So what I'm looking for are schools within the 70 percentile. As a district, we actually have taken the Fast Bridge, what we call A reading and A math. So I'm looking for schools within the 70 percentile. Just want to let you know I have received scores for the students here in our building. So I'm reviewing those scores, looking for students who have scored within the 70 percentile. And when I say the 70 percentile, I want you to know, parents, as well, this is actually scores compared to students all over nationally. So so we have some students who have actually scored within above that and above the 70 percentile. So that's what I'm looking for, even within our building. So I'm excited to say that we do have students that I feel like that are already in our building that have may qualify for our optional program here at Ridgeway IB Middle. Also, as it relates to the requirements, I'm looking for students who have A and Bs with no more than a C average. So I'm looking at that closely as the year is actually winding down. So please let your scholars know that I'm continuing to look for scores, grades with the A's and B's. And also, I know Ms. Williams kind of mentioned this as well. I'm looking for satisfactory conduct and also attendance. Although we're on a virtual platform, attendance is plays a part in the acceptance of the optional program here at Ridgeway IB Middle. And to remain in our program, we ask that our students maintain an overall C average, but of course our students here in our optional program tend to have the averages of A's and B's. And if we go to the next slide. So I also want to share this data with you as your IB Optional Schools coordinator here at Ridgeway. These are actually numbers that I have for the upcoming school year. So as of today, I did put a report. We have roughly about 65 applications and approved applications. Right now we have about 21. And I actually broke that information down in grade levels. For 6th grade, right now we have incoming 16 applications that have been approved. And I want to say we've actually been actively recruiting students within the Memphis area. So we're not hoping that number I know will grow. In the grade level of 7th grade, I was very excited for this data as well. We actually currently have 4 students that are already in our building that actually qualify for our optional program. So I just want you to understand that I'm not only looking for students outside of our building, we're looking for students inside our building because we're doing an awesome job, as you can see with the data that has been shared by our teachers here at Ridgeway. And I have 1 8th grade application as well. And lastly, I want to share with you the general choice transfer. So our students have options when they actually wanted to attend Ridgeway IB Middle or optional school. So this is actually the numbers that we have as it relates to our general choice transfers. And I actually broke that information down by grade level. So currently for my 6th grade, we have about 41 approved applications. So which means those students they didn't qualify for our optional program meeting those scores in the 70 percentile. However, those students did actually meet the requirements because we also look at the grades, the attendance, and the conduct. So we have roughly about 41 applications. That's just on our general choice transfer for students who are not zoned to Ridgeway IB Middle. But we roughly have about 41 applications, and we have available spaces right now, about 109. For 7th grade, we have 10 approved applications, and roughly we still have, as it relates to that general choice transfer, 40 spaces available. And for our 8th grade, we have 5 approved applications and 45 spaces available. So that's the information that I have as it relates to the status of our optional program and also our general choice here at Ridgeway IB Middle. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our professional learning coach, Michelle Armstrong.
All right, parents, as you have heard from everyone who has presented, we are very dedicated to making gains and having success here at Ridgeway IB Middle School. Go back one previous slide for me, please. How you can help as parents, we want to reiterate what has been stated about making sure that they complete all assignments, making sure that they are present, talking to them about what's going on in their daily lives, in their virtual day here at Ridgeway IB Middle. Encourage them by motivating them with encouraging words. And as always, please reach out to us if we can help in any way. Now we're going to look at some surveys. There are 2 surveys that are required here. We have 1 survey that's with the TCAP end of course transportation survey, which is in Power School, and it should be done by tomorrow, April 23rd, 2021. And there is a second survey with a QR code there. And I'll go ahead and place the survey also in the chat where you'll be able to have access to it. We are really asking you to complete survey number 1 because this will determine transportation for our upcoming testing. Survey number 2 will be ongoing. We will send that out in Class Dojo and other social media platforms, but we need survey 1 especially to be completed by tomorrow. At this time, Dr. Jack is going to come with additional information about testing, and we ask you to stay tuned. And please, if you have questions, go ahead and put those questions in the chat. We are prepared to answer your questions and give you the answers to make you feel comfortable with this process. Dr. Jack?
Thank you, PLC Coach Armstrong. Thank you. And now, parents, what we're going to discuss now and what we're going to deliver are our procedures and processes for testing, and explain the importance that to ensure that all of our students are present on their testing day. So that's what we're going to cover now as relates to when our students will test, what grade level will test on certain days, what exams they will take on those particular days as well, and what an actual day would look like when students are here in the building to test. All right, this slide talks about the communication. We are going to continue to communicate with parents as it relates to our testing procedures and upcoming testing date. You're going to find that information on our Class Dojo, our social media platforms, as well as our website. Now, TCAP testing, the priority is in person. All students will come in person to test, but everyone won't show up at the same time. We're not going to have all 742 students in the building. That's what we're going to discuss, what that's going to look like. How we have designed the schedule and how we have set up those processes is to ensure CDC guidelines will continue to be in place, just as they are now, because we have in-person learners right now in the building. What it's going to look like for that day during that testing day, what breakfast is going to look like, what lunch is going to look like, and what it's going to look like when they enter the building as well as exit the building, because we want to ensure that you are informed with those processes, what it's going to look like, because the priority is safety, because we need all of our students to test, to take the TCAP test, and we are going to review what that calendar will look like, and you will get reminders from us as well as teachers when to show on your particular day to test. All right, the purpose of the TCAP test. The purpose, of course, the Department of Education has widened its testing window by several weeks to offer more flexibility for the unforeseen circumstances that have disrupted testing, such as potential illness and mandated quarantine protocols. Now, the tests are administered according to ESSA. Okay. Now, additional modified assessments in Braille and large print are also provided by ESSA with individuals with disabilities as well. Now, the TCAP assessments will be given to students in grades 3 through 8, and end of course exams will be given to our high school students. Now, we will be administered an EOC at end of course assessment here at Ridgeway as well, because we have high school prep courses as well, which include Spanish 1, Algebra 1, and Physical Science. But the EOC testing will include Algebra 1 for our current 8th grade students that are taking Algebra 1. So they will be administered at the EOC, and the calendar, we're going to post the calendar on the upcoming slide as well. Now, attendance counts. This is very important, very, very important. As I stated in the beginning, we have AMO goals as relates to the growth goals and achievement goals, but the main priority this year is participation. AMO will be participation. We must reach that 100% participation. That would be our AM goal according to the state. So this is why we're going to discuss how we're going to ensure students are safe when they enter the building. You can go back to that slide, Mr. Calhoun. When they enter the building, what that's going to look like. Now, students who attend school for testing days will receive a 100 class participation grade in every subject area. So when they show, not only will they be taking their assessment, okay, but they will receive a grade for that for class participation, a 100 for that particular grade each day that they show up for their testing. Attendance counts on test days, and only students who come to the school in person will be counted as present. So that's another reason why it's important on your specified test day that you show for that particular day and each subsequent day that you are scheduled. Because how the schedule is set, they will only have to show for 3 days. 3 days to test. That's it. So each student, each grade level will show that particular day, and it's a sequence of 3 days for each grade level, and I'm going to show you what that looks like as well. If all students do not take the test at school on testing days, this is the caveat here, why it's very important that all of our kids show up to test on their specific day that we're going to show you. If all students do not test on school on those testing days, funding for the school and district can be impacted as a result. This could cause us to have fewer teachers, staff members, as well as fewer resources for our students as well. So that's why it's critical. And that's why in this presentation, going to explain that safety will be key to ensure when our scholars transition to test, just as our in-person learners are now. Next slide. That's the goal. All numbers, how many students we need? We need 100%. We need 100%, and the plan that I'm going to introduce to you will secure that. All we need for you to ensure that they get here, we will ensure that they're safe while they're in the building according to the CDC guidelines, and we'll ensure that they complete their assessment, their timed assessment as it relates to each sub part that they will take. Next slide. Parent transportation survey. PLC Coach Armstrong just mentioned that. That is key. If students need to ride the bus, we have bus riders. If you intend for your student to ride the bus, please complete that survey. The survey will close end of day tomorrow. Okay, so if your students are going to ride the bus on those particular days that we're going to show and designate, ensure that you complete that survey. The district needs that information to ensure that we have all the buses allocated, to ensure that those locations are allocated as well. And once you select, if you choose bus, but your student to ride the bus, once you select it, you need further information as it relates to where that pickup will be. You can contact the school. You can contact the school, Ms. Thomas, and she will give you that information as well. So if your student needs to ride the bus, ensure that you complete that transportation survey because it will close tomorrow, and that will give the district time to ensure that the buses are allocated to pick up our kids that need bus transportation to and from school on those days. Next slide. The district will be holding a district-wide virtual platform, pep rally. This will take place Thursday, April 30th, and it will be hosted by Stan Bell. So if you can log on that particular day, log on for that pep rally. More information will be given. They may give prizes or what have you as such, but log in for that virtual pep rally, district-wide virtual pep rally that will be hosted by Stan Bell on Thursday, August 30th. Next slide. Now, this is our test schedule. Let's look at this closely. This is our test schedule. As I stated, each grade level will only test 3 days, okay? And they have particular days that they will show. For instance, sixth grade. Sixth grade will come Monday, May 3rd, Tuesday, May 4th, and Wednesday, May 5th. That will be their only days to test. So it's very important that they show, for instance, the group that shows on Monday, they must return on Tuesday because the tests are in subparts. Once you take one part, then you take the next part or what have you. They can't go out of order. So it's very important when they show Monday that they come back Tuesday to complete those subparts and they come back Wednesday to complete those subparts. So when they show those first 3 days, they're done. They're done with testing, and then the rest of that month, they will log in asynchronous for their teachers to complete their work for that quarter. Okay, seventh grade, their first day will come that May 6th. Now, their first week, that's the only day seventh grade will show. Seventh grade, their next 2 days will be the following week, that next Monday and Tuesday. Eighth grade, they will show 1 day that first week, and that will be on a Friday. Then they will come back to finish their next 2 days, that next Wednesday and Thursday. So you see, the schedule is set where the students will only have to come into the building for their grade level for 3 days only to test. So that's why it's very important that they show each of those 3 days. It's very important that all of our kids show those 3 days. Now, once they enter the building, of course, like I stated, here we won't have all. This is why we cannot have all students at one time, because it would violate the CDC guidelines. So all of our sixth graders will be spread throughout the school. We will utilize sixth grade hall, seventh grade hall, and both sides of eighth grade hall for testing. So that will secure social distancing in the classroom with no more than 10 to 11 students in the classroom. That will secure social distancing per hallway as well. So this is why this schedule is designed to ensure social distancing is secured throughout the building while our kids are testing, just as we're doing now with our current in-person learners, securing those CDC guidelines and ensuring that all are safe while in the building. So again, we're going to share the schedule on Class Dojo. We're going to share the schedule on our website as well. And any more questions, of course, we will have systems available to communicate with us for those particular questions. But here, only 3 days. That grade level, for instance, sixth grader will only come in the building 3 days to test. Seventh graders will only come in the building those 3 days to test, and eighth graders will only come in the building those 3 days to test. So that's why it's very important that all show on their assigned day. Next slide. Now, as I shared when we did our re-entry meeting, same protocols I'm going to review. Enhance safety protocols for cleaning, increased cleaning. We ensure that the classrooms are clean each and every day, and each particular times of the day as well. Those will continue to follow during those testing. All common areas will be thoroughly cleaned and disinfected at least twice a day. Thorough cleaning and disinfecting of all frequently touched areas at least 4 times per day. Daily restock of tissue, paper towels, hand soap, and hand sanitizer dispensers. Those are our current practices now for our in-person learners, and those practices will continue when our students come in for testing as well. We have safeguards in place to ensure no spread of germs. That's temperature and health monitoring of all student, staff, and visitors. Once they come in the building, they cannot come. No one can come in the building until they have their temperature checked and they pass that temperature check. Those with a fever or symptoms will not be allowed to remain at school and will be placed in isolated areas. how our system of temperature check for students, for instance, car riders, their temperatures are checked before they leave the cars, okay? And that process will continue. If you do not pass a temperature check, you cannot come to the building. You will leave with your parent in the car. Bus riders as well. Each bus rider temperature is checked once they exit that bus, and they remain in line, because if that last person temperature fails that temperature check, we have to quarantine all of those students on that bus. So each student is temperatures are checked before they enter the building, and thus far we have had success with that, with no COVID cases of kids in the building while we were in here. Okay, social distancing markers. We're going to show you what it looks like in the building for those students who have not entered the building this school year. We have social distancing markers throughout the building. Limited class interactions and gatherings. That's a non-negotiable because that follows the CDC guidelines. Hand sanitizer stations in all common areas and hallways. Frequent opportunities for hand washing are available for our kids and staff members. Use of personal PPE, personal protective equipment, face mask requirements. That's a requirement. You must have a face mask to enter the building, and it must be worn while you are in the building, okay? CDC guidelines, as a part of the CDC guidelines, and of course, Shelby County Schools Department, Health Department as well. Shelby County Health Department as well. All buildings will be equipped with emergency stock PPE. We do have emergency stock PPE on hand for each classroom. That is also an extra precaution that we take here at our Ridgeway IB Middle. There's a sanitizer station at each classroom door. There are extra PPE masks as well as gloves, as well as each classroom door for extra precautions. Health and safety signage is placed throughout the building. Social distancing markers, decals, as well as for visitors, what their requirements are with that for their PPE when they enter the building as well. Next slide. Now, how is Ridgeway IB Middle making in-person safe? These are the procedures that we use for our current in-person learners, and these will be the procedures, of course, when they enter the building for testing. And the pics that you see here, these are the pics of our school, what it looks like with our social distancing markers on the floors, as well as on the walls and in the hallways. Restrooms, students will social distance when using the restrooms. All restrooms will be disinfected throughout the day. That's the practice. Water fountains. To lower the risk of infections, our water fountains are closed. No water fountains are being used, and students are asked to bring water bottles. We also have extra supply of water bottles available for our kids as well. But water fountains are not used. Students are asked to bring water bottles for water, and we do have water bottles here, bottles of water here for our kids available as well. Hallways, social distancing circles are placed on the floors and in common areas and common spaces outside of the restrooms, arrival, dismissal, to help you identify in your minds while you are in the building those safe distances while you're in the building. Next slide. Classroom setup. These are some pics of what the classrooms look like currently, and what they will look like when they enter for testing. It's a certain amount of students that can be in the classroom to secure social distancing, okay? Up to 12 kids, or what have you. And these are examples of what some of the classrooms looks like. We are following the CDC guidelines and ensuring all desks are at least 6 feet apart or more in classes, and have at least 12 students or less. So when students show up for testing, we have the plan in place that each student, we have a number of students assigned to each classroom. Those students will return to those classrooms each time, and not only the class, but that exact same desk. That secures tracing as well, to secure in line with our CDC guidelines as well. So that's how we ensuring that all are safe within the building. Once they enter, what have you, they will have an assigned classroom and they will have an assigned desk as well those 3 days when they come in to test. Next slide. This is a grid. Give you a chance to look at this. This is the protocol that is used if a student tests positive for COVID, and when the school is notified as a result, that information is confidential as well, because that is required by not only the Shelby County Schools Health Department, but the CDC guidelines. That is a guideline that those names are confidential, but there's the protocol to notify us as well as us notifying the district, and then there's the tracing department involved as well. And even when a student fails a temperature check, those are processes that we must follow as well. So give you about another 30 seconds to review that. And of course, this presentation will be uploaded on our website as well. And it's also in our re-entry plan as well, this same grid as well for you to review. All right, next slide. Hand sanitizer stations, I've discussed that. These are processes of hand sanitizer stations. We have them in each area, hallway area, outside the restrooms as well, where these stations are available and fully stocked as well. Hand sanitizer stations are equipped to aid in hand hygiene and to prevent the spread of germs, ensuring that these particular processes are upheld each and every day while our kids are in the building. Next slide. PPE usage. All right, all students and staff entering the building, as I stated, are required to wear a face covering, a face mask. Students that are on the bus will be required to wear face masks as well for entering on the school bus. Bus drivers will be supplied or are supplied with safety stock of disposable face masks to provide to students. And again, we have available extra stock of disposable masks for our kids as well. Face shields are suggested for teaching phonics or what have you as such. Next slide. Social distancing, okay, I touched on that as well. Social distancing will be practiced by all of our practiced by our staff and students while in the building, as well as on the school bus, as well as on campus. Even when we dismiss, I'm going to talk more about that. There are social distancing guidelines outside. We have personnel to escort students to the buses. We have personnel to escort students for dismissal, as well as to escort students when they arrive as well. Next slide. Building safeguards. These are actual pictures of inside of the school, where we have those safeguards posted throughout the school. Throughout the building, we have safeguard pictures for restroom etiquette, facial face mask etiquette, as well as etiquette in the cafeteria, what that looks like. And also, more importantly, if you are sick, stay home, because that's also one of the criteria. Check your child's temperature before they come to school, okay? Because check them before they come to school. If they have symptoms of being sick, do not send them to school, okay? And as I stated before, each child's temperature is checked before they enter the building. That's the extra line of the precaution that we have to secure safety for everyone inside of the building. Now, safety signage and post messages have been installed throughout the school as pictures here. Barriers and partitions have been implemented on the school campus, which is in our classrooms, those pictures that was on the previous slide. Next slide. This is critical as well. Students that arrive for testing, they are to use their devices, ensure that they are bringing their devices. The devices that they currently have, they are to bring them with them each time they show for testing along with their charging card. We do have systems in place to ensure that those devices are charged, or if there's an issue with them, that there are replacement devices that will be charged that are available. But they must bring their current device with them each time they come to test. Next slide. All right. Those of you who have not entered the building this school year, this is a picture of our entry as well as our exit, okay? Sixth graders will enter on what we call the sixth grade pod, which is the south wing, the first floor south wing. They will enter and exit through that particular door. Seventh grade will enter and exit first floor north wing. We call the seventh grade pod. And our eighth graders will enter and exit through the main entrance, but that right flank door that leads up to the stairwell. Now, once you enter the campus with the cars, we have signs, designated signs areas for seventh grade, eighth grade, and sixth grade. And of course, we will have personnel there as well, because each personnel, which is part of our screening team, will take temperatures before the student exits the car. Once they pass that temperature check, the screening staff will have them to exit the car and enter the building through their hallway, through their pod. If they fail the temperature check, which is 100.4 degrees or higher, they will be asked to remain in the car and leave campus with their parent as a result. But these are pictures of how our students enter the building and they exit through those entrances, which will be exits during dismissal. So this is how we have secured social distancing. This is how we have secured safety. And these will be the plan as students enter each day to test for those 3 days per grade level. Next slide. Arrival procedures. Now, we ask that all students are present. All students arrive on campus by 7:55. This is when our arrival procedures begin. Our screening team will exit the building and move to their stations at 7:55 to reach our kids. So that's very important that you out there ready in your cars at 7:55 so we can begin the arrival process. Because the tests are timed, we must start the test on time, and there's, of course, when it ends, it would end at the particular time it ends. But everyone has to begin testing at the same time according to the state, and those particular times are marked or documented as well. So it's very important that our students here by 7:55 so we can begin that arrival process with checking their temperatures and them entering the building. So car riders, they will be checked before they leave the car. Bus riders, they will be checked when they leave the buses. And walkers, when they line up beside their pod, they will be checked before they enter the building. Next slide. All right, this is a brief video that we're going to show from the district that outlines what it looks like for our bus riders when they come for testing. Let's take a look. Thank you, Ms. Calhoun. Next slide. All right, this is the slide of our screening team. We have designated staff available at each pod, set 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, as well as our buses, and what that would look like if a student, that last bullet, will look like what will occur if a student fails the temperature check when they leave the bus or what have you, or if they're a walker. We have a designated area in the building called the COVID safe room. And if that student fails the temperature check once they leave, students fail this temperature check once they leave the bus, or if it is a walker, they will be escorted to that room and the parent will be contacted to pick them up. Next slide. Breakfast. We will continue our breakfast. We are continuing our breakfast in the classroom program. So that's another reason why it is very important that they arrive on campus at 7:55 so they can begin breakfast on time, end breakfast on time, and we can start testing for everyone in unison on time. So breakfast will be served in the classroom. We have and will continue that practice for breakfast in the morning for all of our students. Next slide. Lunch. Lunch will be served in the cafeteria. Our students will transition to the cafeteria by pods and by teacher. This practice, we are currently using this practice using the CDC guidelines. Teachers escort our students to the cafeteria. Students are escorted by class to ensure that all classes are not in the hallway at the same time. When students enter the cafeteria, they have assigned tables. We currently have a system where students are assigned 2 tables and only 1 to 2 students are at each table, and we also have markers on the seats to ensure that students are safely socially distanced at that table when there are 2 students at the table. So those particular process will continue. We will have a sequence of grab and go. That grab and go means that they will be still served at the table, or there will be sequences of hot meals. Currently, we have hot meals for our kids each and every day. And also during that time, that lunchtime, we will have an opportunity for students to take mask breaks. We currently have a practice where our teachers escort our kids in the open area outside during their lunch, play some music for them, and give them an opportunity to take mask breaks. And of course, we have personnel out there to ensure our students are socially distanced during that time. And when their lunch period is over, they will be escorted back in the cafeteria and then escorted to class with their teacher. That process has been a success, and that will continue when our students show for testing on their testing day. Next slide. Transitions. Transitions currently, they're currently now and when the students enter for testing. The students will only transition when it's time for lunch. Currently, we have students that transition to their performing classes, okay? But core classes, they remain. But for testing, of course, during that schedule, they will be in their classroom with their testing. And we have breaks between the testing time to ensure that those restroom breaks are there, as well as those brain breaks are there as well. And we have a designated schedule for what that day will look like for that particular testing day, where it will be activities for the kids, safe activities for the kids between those testing times before they start that second phase after lunch. Next slide. And the last slide is our dismissal procedures, what we currently use and what we will use, of course, when they show for testing. Our dismissal is staggered because we must ensure that all students are not moving together, large groups are not congregating together. That's why our dismissals are staggered. The first phase is bus riders. Our bus riders will be escorted to the buses at 3 p.m. Next phase, Y Care. Those parents that sign our students up for Y Care, because we do have Y Care available. It opens at 6 o'clock a.m. and closes at 6 o'clock p.m. So on those testing days, you will have the opportunity to sign up your student, for Y-Care. And if you need more information about that, you can contact Mr. Calhoun, Mr. Jason Calhoun, with more information of how to sign up for Y-Care. And also there will be a link provided for your sign up as well. And if you need more information to sign up for Y-Care, please contact the school, and our school secretaries can forward your call and message to Mr. Calhoun so he can get that information to you. So Y-Care is available now, and of course will be available for students parents that need Y-Care for those 3 days that students are testing. 8th grade pod is the 3rd phase. They dismissed from upstairs and are escorted our 8th grade walkers and car riders. And then the 4th phase, the last phase is 7th grade. 7th grade pods will be released. But of course on testing, those 4 phases will be the same grade level, So for dismissal, be on campus by 3 o'clock, and all students will be exiting the building. The last dismissal phase is 3:15. And all students must be exited from the building. So be here by 3 o'clock so all students can leave the campus by 3:15. All right, that was the last slide. That concludes our presentation for our data, as well as what it will look like for testing when they arrive. Again, we need 100% participation. The schedule will be posted on Dojo, as well as our school website for you to review. We know that first 3 days will be 6th grade. And remember, students will only have to show to test 3 days. That's how the schedule is designed. That first week, first 3 days, 6th grade, then their testing is complete. That 4th day, 7th grade will only show that 1 day, that Thursday. And then 8th grade will show that Friday for that 1 day. Okay, that first week. And then the second week, 7th grade will complete their next 2 days, and 8th grade on the end will complete their next 2 days. So so the schedule is designed to ensure the students are not in the building for long periods of time, for days or what have you, and also to ensure that each grade level is spread out throughout the building to secure those social distancing guidelines for students in each classroom. And once again, we're going to share this information on our platforms that we have here, our social media platforms, as well as our website that are posted. If you have questions, you can message in Dojo, you can email, and you can call. But we need, that's our AMO for the school and for the district. We need 100% of our kids to test for those 3 days. And this is how we're going to ensure that our kids are safe while they're testing, as we're doing now with our in-person learners. All right, at this time, if there are any questions, you can place those in the chat. We can answer those live, or you can place them, you can contact us using these particular platforms, Dojo, call, or email. So at this time, if you have any questions, please place them in the chat and we can answer them in the chat or live here for you. You see, one question was answered by our instructional facilitator. Parent asked about tutoring, and our instructional facilitator answered that. Those are the contacts for teachers about tutoring, as well as our PLC coach Armstrong and instructional facilitator McLeod. As well as you can always contact the school if you have questions or concerns, as well as email. All right, team, if there aren't any questions at this particular time, we are going to conclude our session. We appreciate you joining us this evening. to share this information. And once again, this particular presentation will be posted on our website, and it will rebroadcast next Monday as well. So it will be available for you to review on our website, as well as next Monday at noon if you wish to review it again live, the pre-recording, but it will be posted on our website. Also, when students show for those particular days, we're going to have theme days for them. Students do not have to wear school uniforms when they come on their testing days. And we're going to post those particular theme days to make it fun for them. One day it'll be a dress to impress, possibly. Their second day may be a jersey day. They can wear their favorite team jersey. Their third day, they may have a theme where they can wear shades or what have you as such. But we will have themes for them those 3 days that they show, but they do not have to wear school uniforms. And of course, on their clothing can be any obscene language or anything, or any holes that's revealing. But when students show for testing, they do not have to wear school uniforms. And of course, their pants, of course, no revealing holes. And of course, if they wear shorts, they could wear shorts, but ensure that those shorts are not too short. They must follow that knee guideline. But they do not have to wear school uniforms when they come in to test those 3 days.
We have a question about before and after care.
Yes, before and after care. Let me share my screen with you. We do have before and after care available. Am I presenting, team?
Yes.
All right, let me go back to that slide. Okay, we do have before and after care available, okay? Before care begins at 6 a.m. and it closes at 6 p.m. So it is available, and this is the link that you can use to register for before and after care. Mr. Calhoun, come off on mute and explain to our parents what that will look like when they go in to register for before and after care.
Good evening, parents. One thing I will say, I know Ms. McLeod has dropped the link for you all to be able to sign up for before and after care. Now, the Y has not told us yet whether they will have special deals as far as just those 3 days of testing. Right now, I know that if you do sign up, it will make you pay for a full week. And I know that our 6th graders are only coming on certain days, 7th and 8th also. So before you do that, I will check with the Y to see if they're doing anything special as far as maybe having just those 3 days that you have to pay. But as of right now, all that we know is that they are charging for the full week as of now. But unless they come up with something different, they should be letting us know something at least by tomorrow, or at least at the beginning of next week. But I will call to double check to make sure.
Thank you, Mr. Calhoun. And that's that link there. So be on the lookout for that message from Mr. Calhoun. He'll post that on Dojo for you as well. If the Y Care will have specials for those 3 days, our kids will show 2 tests per grade level. Thank you, Mr. Calhoun. And also, parents, this is Mr. Calhoun's email right here, calhounj@scsk12.org. You can message him by email if you have any questions about Y Care, because we want to ensure we have all resources available to ensure our kids can show for their testing on their 3-day designated day. We want to make it clear and make it as less arduous as possible to ensure that they are here and ready, all 100% of our kids. Because remember, only 3 days to test. That first week, 6th grade, Monday through Wednesday. After that Wednesday, they'll be done with testing. 7th grade, only one day for that first week. 8th grade, 1 day that first week. And then our next week, 2 days, 7th grade in the beginning, and the last 2 days, 8th grade at the end of that second week. All right. And again, if any more questions show, you can message us on Dojo, as well as email, as well as contacting the school, any questions. And again, that our schedule will be posted on Dojo as well as our website, and we will have information calls, reminder calls to our students and parents on their days to ensure that they show for those, to remind you that they are to show on those particular days to test and complete their tests. So the goal is 100% for all of our students to test on their designated days. If there are any more questions, we're going to end our meeting. And again, use those contacts. When questions do arrive, we want to ensure that you are informed, and we want to ensure we answer your questions, because we need all of our kids to show on their designated testing day, and the guidelines, of course, will be in place to secure safety for all, as we have continued, as we have done thus far for our kids. Thank you, parents. Thank you. And we appreciate you joining us this evening. This will be posted on our website for those that could not make it this evening, and we will have a rebroadcast on Monday at noon as well. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your evening.